I like to make gut decisions on a lot of things, but real estate isn't one of them. And I like to make the most informed decision as possible when I'm buying and selling real estate. Did make a bad decision a couple of years ago on one of my Airbnbs, and I'm trying to unload that. But generally speaking, try to make the best decisions. And where we went wrong with that one was probably we acted a little bit on gut and not on stats and what is actually happening in the marketplace. And so the most important neighborhood for me to keep track of right now is Beacon Lake. This is where I live and I love living in this neighborhood. And so I figured, hey, I'm looking up the stats anyways. I might as well share them with you. At least the purpose of this video, I'm sharing it with neighbors. But if you're not in Beacon Lake and you're just curious about Beacon Lake and you see this, hey, welcome to the party, pal. It's a good time here. So, anyways, without further ado, I'm going to hop into what happened last month. So, in August of 2023, what was happening in the real estate market here in Beacon Lake. And so there were 19 active homes last month. There were 12 new listings, so 12 homes that weren't for sale that became for sale last month here in the neighborhood. And a lot of those were new construction, but there's some resale as well. And there were 13 homes that went under contract that went pending. So 13 new pendings last month. And we had 6 that actually closed. So 6 closed sales here in the neighborhood. And the average price, so that, not the average price per foot, we'll talk about that later, but the average price was $545,000. So days on the market, that's just how long does it take a house to sell, to get a contract? And so the average days on market was 34 days. And looking back towards January, it's actually way down. So it's like a third. In January, it was 93 days. And right now it's 34 days. So if you price your house within market range, at least last month in August, assuming everything is flattened out a little bit, then you should expect your house to sell in about a month. All right. So the average price per foot. And so obviously just quoting sales price, say, $700,000. To say that was the average price. It wasn't. We looked, it was 545. But let's say last month it was 700. Then we were like, oh, well, this month it's 545. There are so many factors that can go into that. Were there a lot of bigger pool homes that sold last month? Were a lot of smaller homes sold the month before that? It just looks a lot like this. And so one of the ways we can try to correct for that is to look at how much homes cost per foot. Now, again, qualify that if a house is really, really, really big, it's going to tend to have all of the things being equal. The price per foot is going to be lower. If you have a little tiny house, the 1,400 square foot house, 1,600, I guess probably a bit the smallest in here is 14, 15, maybe, 1,600 square foot. If you're looking at that, then your price per foot is going to be, generally speaking, a lot higher. You have pools, you have upgrades, you have lot types, you have all kinds of things that go into there as well. But, for the purpose of this video, it's just easier to talk about talk in generalities. So the average price overall per foot for the sold homes here in Beacon Lake last month was $270 a foot. One of the other big differences in this neighborhood, did they sell in the Toll Brothers gated community section, or are they sold up here where I live in phase 1 up in the front, or maybe some of the new construction in the back? Where it's sold and who the builder is tends to be making a difference as well. And as I look at that $270 a foot, I did note that of the 6 homes that closed in the neighborhood, 2 of them are resales, and the 2 resales were up here in phase 1, and one was a Dreamfinders and one was a Mattamy. And price-wise, those seem to be fetching right in the same neighborhood, so right in the same ballpark. The other 4 homes were all Toll Brothers homes, but not in the newer preserve section. They were in the gated section as well. And so we do see a higher price per foot there. So for those 2 resales that were up here in phase 1, the Mattamy Dreamfinder and Dreamfinder's home, the average of the 2 of those was $239. So you're at about $240 a foot. And then the average of the 4 Toll Brothers homes that sold over in the gated section was $285 a foot. So again, just to slap $270 a foot, and you say, oh, my home's worth $270 a foot. Well, if you're up in phase one and maybe an older Dreamfinder's home, you can't necessarily go, oh, I think my home's worth 270 bucks a foot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't decide that. You don't decide that. The market decides that. So all we can do is look at the numbers and get as educated as we can and drill down and figure out what a person would buy your home for, or, what you should be expecting if you're going to sell your home. But anyways, all that aside, hopefully these numbers help you. If you have any other questions, there's other stats that you think I should be talking about, just hit me in the DMs or leave a comment here, and we'll see you next month.